Hello, everyone. I'm Alex Gittens, chair of the Norwalk Youth Symphony Board of Directors, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to tonight's virtual open house. As a mom of two violinists, I've been part of the NYS community for going on 8 years. And it's a community of conductors and musicians and staff and parents who are all dedicated to celebrating the hard work and excitement that comes from the study and performance of music. NYS has been providing youth music education for over 60 years, but this spring was our first virtual season, proving that there's always something new to learn. And we accomplished a lot and we learned a lot, and I invite you to visit our website and see the videos that were produced. They're just fantastic. In reflecting on this past spring and looking forward to fall, we consulted with other member youth orchestra organizations throughout the country, as well as guidance from our state guidelines. And our staff and our board, made up of parents and students, just like you, wrestled with the same concerns that you may be having: the health and safety of our families, the expenses and costs of programs, and so much screen time. And these challenges have provided us with a tremendous opportunity to assess our options while staying true to our goals of outstanding music education and providing dedicated students the opportunities to come together through the practice and playing of music. And with that in mind, we've developed a thoughtful and challenging curriculum within a vibrant and supportive community. Tonight, we have Jonathan Yates, our music director and conductor of Principal Orchestra, and Barry Zhu, conductor of our Harmonia Winds Orchestra, to talk about our fall program. We have Jane Lee, our board treasurer, to present on scholarships, and I'm pleased also to have join us Calvin Carson, Samantha Taylor, and Ella So, musicians from our many orchestras, who will discuss their experiences and initiatives to develop that sense of community among our musicians. And well, remember that they're the reason we're all here, and that playing music together is fun. So this open house is being recorded. You can go back to it or pass the link on to other interested musicians you know, and you're welcome to ask questions as we go. Just down at the bottom, there's a Q&A tab. Just type your questions in there and we'll field those. So with that, I'd like to hand it over to Barry Zhu, our Phil Winds conductor. Thank you, Barry.
Thanks, Alex. First of all, I see some familiar names in the participants tab, so I'd just like to say hi to all the Phil Wynn's parents out there. So I'd like to start off by talking a little bit about what our course offerings are for the next semester. So we have put together some courses that combine music theory and oral skills. And for those of you who might not know, music theory is essentially the study of all the finer bits of music, like what does these notes mean, or why is this section written this way? It's the study of asking the question, why are things done the way they are? Right? And oral skills is a fancy way of saying listening skills. So in that portion of the class, we'd be asking students to train their musician's ear to understand precisely what they're hearing and be able to label, oh, that's this type of chord, oh, that's this note in this interval. So what would these classes look like? Well, they'd be 45 to about an hour long, depending on the level. We would have a variety of levels taught by all of your conductors, and students would be placed into a class that would be appropriate to whatever their level is. We'd take a questionnaire, placement test of some sort, and we would meet on Sundays with your conductors. So what would students get out of this? These courses would help students gain a deeper understanding of music as a whole. And once they know that, they'd be better able to appreciate it. And honestly, it's just an interesting topic. Once you know more about things, you just seem to enjoy them more. So that's ultimately what the goal of these courses are. And with that being said, I'm going to pass it on to my colleague, Jonathan Yates, to speak to you about some of our performance group offerings.
Great. Thank you so much, Barry. And let me just add my own little plug for the importance of music theory. In this country, we often don't start it until later in our musical education, whereas Europe, Asia, they started much earlier. I started it when I was 6 years old. And for better or for worse, I think it's actually the reason I ended up becoming a professional conductor. You can decide on your own whether That's a good choice. Now, it is my job to talk a little bit about what virtual large ensembles, first of all, are going to look like in the fall. So as Alex was saying, I recommend very, very highly that you watch the video projects that Prelude, that Philharmonia Strings, and Principal Orchestra put out this spring to get a sense of what we did really kind of on the fly. You know, we just, as quickly as humanly possible, we knew we had to come up with something both creative and meaningful for the kids. And I'm really proud of the work we did. But, you know, we now have this summer to come up with some really robust projects for the fall. And I'm really excited about the plans that we've put together. The other thing that you may not see when you watch the videos is the amazing amount of work that all of the staff does one-on-one with the students to make those video projects happen. And so I'm going to talk about that a little bit too. So the way that this works, a little bit of the logistics, is the vast majority of our rehearsals are broken down into sectionals, in which each conductor works individually with sections. There will also be periodic meetings for the entire ensemble. We'll discuss broader issues for the work, other large-scale musical concerns, and we're just also going to have some good quality social time because that's such an important part of the NYS experience. Sectionals last 30 to 40 minutes, and they fall during the same time frame that our orchestra would normally rehearse. And these shorter sectionals will give your students the opportunity to take some of these other offerings that Barry started to discuss, music theory, and I'm going to talk about chamber music, and there may be some special classes as well. Week to week, and this is really important, we will be monitoring students' improvement, both through the sectionals themselves and regular video submissions that the students send in, and then we give back regular comments. We take our responsibility to your students' continued improvement through orchestral education very, very seriously. And it is a challenge to do that online, but the nice thing about this format is because we get these video submissions from them and because we work with them individually in sectionals, we really get an opportunity to work with them one-on-one in ways that we didn't in non-virtual setting. And I think it's actually a quite exciting element of working virtually. And the things that we will continue to work on is what makes great orchestral players, matched articulations, matched bow strokes, and just a real commitment to full-on playing. And, as I said, this is going to culminate in some really exciting video projects, and also, as soon as safely possible, raucous and joyous performances of these pieces in beautiful Norwalk Concert Hall. As I mentioned, also, we're going to be offering small ensembles virtually as well. I also have a specific passion for chamber music. In my past life, I was a professional chamber musician. I was in a professional piano trio. I played 50 concerts a year. It is the most intimate form of music making, and it's something we recommend really highly for your students. Chamber musicians learn to be solid and independent on their part, sensitive to how their part fits in with other musicians around them, and how to work together to form a cohesive whole. In our virtual programming, each chamber group will get a weekly coaching session from a member of our conducting staff. They will also work together to learn their parts, learn what each other are playing, make musical decisions together, and create a final performance. Students will send recordings and videos to each other to play along and will add to. It's going to be really collaborative. With chamber music, a lot of the creative process is put in the students' hands, although tailored to age, and with careful and guidance and coaching from the conductors. This high degree of ownership, coupled with the very intimate nature of the small ensembles, really allows students to create and strengthen deep connections with their peers, even in the virtual format. And again, I'll say one more time about chamber music, it is some of the most moving repertoire that we have as musicians. It is just a very, very special experience. And for your students who have not done chamber music before, it's something I recommend very, very deeply. And the social bonds that they make, those are the social bonds that they'll carry throughout the rest of their lives, just as they will be from orchestra as well. Finally, we're also going to be offering adult classes for the first time. They will be taught by myself and our concert orchestra conductor, Russell Gurr. This is meant to give parents the chance to have additional insight into their children's music, give some added meaning to, what your kids are working so hard on. But just as important, it's to create a sense of community among NYS parents. Wine and cocktails are a critical element of the courses. Both Russell and myself have lengthy experience talking and babbling about music. Topics will be on music history, what it means to be a conductor, the orchestra, and we can promise that they'll be both educational and super, super fun. And so that, I think, will give you a sense of some of the other offerings we've got going. I am now going to hand things over to Calvin Carson, one of our fantastic NYS students.
Hello, my name is Calvin Carson, and I just graduated NYS after spending 6 years there. I graduated high school, so I've aged out of NYS, but now I've spent the last 6 years there, so hopefully I've know enough to talk a little bit about it to you. So I'll be talking mainly about like the normal NYS experience, like what it was before virtual, and hopefully what we can get back to at some point. So the way NYS works is it's a tiered system. So there's 4 main orchestras, right? So you've got Prelude, Philharmonia, which is split between strings and winds, then Concert Orchestra, and then finally Principal Orchestra. So Prelude is the entry tier. So most people who join NYS, they start there, and then they work their way up as you re-audition every year for each orchestra. Pieces are selected for each orchestra to fit their skill level, but also for fun. I remember multiple pieces that I've had in all of the ones that have been great. I personally was not in Prelude, but some of my favorites have been, I really enjoyed Momentum when I was in Philharmonia. You'll have Miss McNamara if you're with them. And then in Concert Orchestra, you'll be led by conductor Russell Gurr, who is awesome. My personal favorite piece from that was Finlandia, which is the national anthem of Finland. So you're playing like real music. And then my absolute favorite from Principal Orchestra was the first movement of Tchaikovsky's Fourth Symphony, which we just played this past year, and it was absolutely amazing. The horns in the background, like the stage just shook with the power of the horns. It was amazing. But also one of the big things that you get to do as soon as you level up into the concert orchestra is the Europe tour, which is fantastic. But Ella will be talking more about that, and she'll also be talking about Principal in that nature. If there's nothing else, I'd like to introduce Samantha, who will be talking more about being a brass player.
Hi, so I'm Samantha Taylor, and I play trombone in, I think this is I've been here for 3 years, and I'm a part of the principal orchestra and the brass ensemble. So first I'll talk about principal, well, back to what Calvin was saying about the tiered system. With winds and brass, there's Phil winds, which is just winds and brass. There's no strings involved in that. And then concert orchestra and principal orchestra, which combines with the strings. Now, as an advanced player in principal, I have gotten the ability to perform with Phil winds and concert in their performances, which has been a really cool experience. Is like kind of a mentorship thing. Yeah, so I love being in the brass section in principal orchestra. It's a very social, at least the brass section is a very social group, and we keep in touch, and it's really cool to work with the other brass students, and Jonathan picks incredible pieces that features our section a lot, in balance with pieces that don't, but that's a really great experience to be able to play pieces that have phenomenal brass parts, and performing on stage with the principal orchestra has been such a great experience. It's just to have like a full brass section. it's really, really beautiful. And I love being a part of that. And then in the brass ensemble, which is led by Stephen Nugget, who's not here today, but it's composed of trumpets, French horn, trombone, and tuba. This past year, I think we had 4 trumpets, 1 French horn, 2 trombones, and 1 tuba player. And it's a really, really unique experience because the students are given the ability to lead the group, and different from most other groups that have conductors in front of them, like orchestras, we're mostly, Stephen gives the students the ropes. We get to learn how to lead the group. We all get to feel each other out. And everybody learns how to be a leader and is given the chance to. So it's really cool because he doesn't conduct us. When we're on stage performing, we go out, he's not even on stage. So it gives us the opportunity to really listen to each other and work as a group and follow each other. And we play all different types of music. We play chorales. I think last year we played a rendition of Star Wars, which was fun. Around the holidays, we play like different holiday music, and we're able to, again, lead the group and formulate our own musical opinions and have conversations. And it's a very safe space, and there's no judgment. It's a really neat experience. And yeah, it's both with the orchestras and the brass ensemble. It's a very social group, and everyone's, I don't know, it's a really fun thing to be a part of socially and musically. So yeah. And now we'll have LSO talking about, yeah.
Thanks, Samantha. Hi, I'm LSO, and I've been a cellist at MYS for the past 8 years, and I'm going to be talking about some of the fun events that a lot of MYS members are privy to before quarantine started. So one of the main things that we get to do is the Carnegie Hall trip, which happens every 3 years. And it's basically where, I'm pretty sure it's only members of principal, we get on a bus and we drive all the way to New York City, and we're able to perform in the beautiful Carnegie Hall, which is well attended. And it's just a really great experience for us to perform on a great stage, great acoustics, and just to have that experience. And not only that, but we get to explore New York City for a couple of hours, and it really serves as a great bonding activity, and it's only one day. And we have the Europe trip, which happens every 2 years, which is a more significant bonding experience because it's over multiple days, and you get to travel to multiple cities in a beautiful European country. You get to perform in beautiful venues, very well attended. And once again, it's just a great experience as a musician and as a person for culture, and especially getting to know your NYS peers. And when we're not doing Carnegie and we're not doing when we're not doing Carnegie and we're not doing the Europe trip, we are able to go to Tanglewood, Boston Tanglewood, to the Seiji Ozawa Hall. And once again, it's just a beautiful venue. It's a great experience as a musician to play and perform there. And once again, since it's a day trip, you get to have some really good bonding activities with just friends, and not only your friends, but your conductors. All of these activities are actually great events, not only as a musician, but to develop your friendships and bonds with other musicians, even outside of your section, and even with your conductor. Yeah. And so, I also wanted to address the new buddy system that the youth committee is working on. As the former co-president of the MYS youth committee, we are working on a new buddy system in which older members of MYS help younger members become more acclimated to the MYS environment. And that can be help through music, or just setting up, or getting used to orchestral playing. Yeah, so I'll hand it over to my mother and board member, Jane Lee.
Thanks, Ella. Yeah, so as you could tell, NYS provides a wide range of music experiences, um, and my daughters, Claire and LSO, have experienced this for the last 10 years while participating in NYS. NYS is really committed to providing quality music instruction and for everyone. And consistent with that mission, we provide need-based scholarships for all of our programs, whether you're interested in the large ensemble, the small ensemble, or the music theory course. We have scholarships available for all those programs. In addition, we provide need-based scholarships for private instruction. All of this information is listed on the NYS website, and you can, I believe that it's below the programs bar. So you go to the site and click on the programs bar, and there's detailed instructions on who's eligible, how you apply, and a link to the application is right there. So I'm sure you have a lot of questions. So I will turn it back to Sarah.
Okay. Thank you, Jane. I just would like to, before we start our question and answering section of our open house, I would like to just cover a few items. The brass ensemble that Samantha spoke about is open to principal orchestra and concert orchestra brass members. Ella spoke about Tanglewood in Europe in Carnegie Hall, and Carnegie is open only to the principal orchestra, but Tanglewood and our Europe tours are open to all members of concert orchestra and principal orchestra. And regarding our new buddy mentoring program, our goal is for every new family who enters will definitely be assigned a mentor, especially since we're starting out with a virtual program. We want to make sure that not only do the new members know how to contact me and other staff, but they, will have at least one musician that's returning to NYS and knows the ropes that they can rely on for help. And we're very proud of the youth committee for starting that program. And now we are going to take, I don't see any questions at this time. Does anyone have any questions in our audience?
Sarah, while we're waiting for questions, can I just talk a little more about the youth committee initiatives?
Yes.
I just wanted to say that I am thrilled that we've had some active volunteers from our musicians saying how important it is to engage and have a community sense, that they recognized, they recognized missing that face-to-face rehearsal time and that time to get to know each other, but have really explored options of how to create that sense of community and those friendships and that closeness and that sense of support as we go forward in this virtual program. It's so important. You guys are doing hard work, and you need to support each other and feel comfortable putting yourself out there and doing your hardest work. And so I am thrilled that we have a number of volunteers from our musicians who have said, we want to make this happen, and are coming up with all sorts of initiatives to make sure that our musicians feel a part of things and enjoy their experience.
Thank you, Alex. So are there any questions for any of our panelists? Oh, I would also like to say that the youth committee is open to all members of Norwalk Youth Symphony. So returning members are invited, and of course our new students will be invited. And let me see, we do have a question. Okay, our question is, we are excited for the children to be auditioning. Is the audition for the fall semester only or the full year? I will give this to our music director, Jonathan Yates.
It's the audition is for the full year. I think. Oh, good. There are more questions coming in as well. But what I would say is that we can also if for any reason the placement, if people want their placement reconsidered for the second semester, that they'd be, I think, encouraged to re-audition live as well. I mean, what I'm trying to say is that we all understand that it is a strange situation to be submitting videos, and that if for whatever reason it feels like we didn't get the right fit, that we will at least be happy to hear again at the half point. But that said, generally speaking, yes, it's for the full year.
And another question, Jonathan, could you talk a little bit about the actual rehearsal schedule?
Yeah, I'm happy to. So you can see the way that our rehearsal schedule is structured on our website. What we're going to do for the large ensembles, for the virtual large ensembles, is we will have sectionals that take place during those time frames. Now the sectionals themselves will last, I think we said usually like between 30 and 40 minutes. What we found, and a lot of other youth symphonies have found this as well, that it's far too ungainly to try to actually work with all of the orchestra one-on-one, all 60 and 70 kids at the same time, and it ends up being not all that useful. So instead, we generally speaking will break it down into sectionals. And as I was saying, this will give the students the opportunity to also do theory, also do chamber music. And we will sometimes have rehearsals where we do the entire group to talk about larger issues, but generally speaking, students can anticipate a 30 to 40 minute time frame within the given larger time frame of a large ensemble.
I just want to stress that our goal in the virtual programming is that the kids are not online all afternoon on Sunday. So we thought if a child is interested in, let's say, small ensembles and they're 10 years old, even if they're quite a talented young 10-year-old, their chamber group will be a 45-minute class. The high school kids will be in an hour chamber group, small ensembles or the brass ensembles. So we don't want the younger ones on, this line too long, or the older kids. So that's why we've tried to pare down the times, keep the class sizes small also, and hopefully give everyone an enjoyable experience. Oh, and we have a question. When will the audition be? Jonathan, would you like to take this one also?
Sure. So the auditions, just to be clear, are video auditions this year. There is a link on our website to a platform called Accepted. The deadline, Sarah, can you remind me what the deadline is?
August 24th.
August 24th. And we ask students to prepare scales and solo music as well as orchestral excerpts this year. All that information is on our website. But it was definitely, given the current situation, we thought it was definitely wisest to do online auditions in addition to our virtual programming in the fall.
And of course, please don't wait till August 24th for your child to make their video and try to upload it, because if you were here at 7 p.m. when we started, you will see I messed up our live Facebook feed. And so technology is not always cooperating. So please don't wait till August 24th.
Very advisable.
Any more questions?
And everybody knows where to find the Q&A button on the bottom of your Zoom. Oh.
Are all the conductors going to teach the small and the large ensemble? Again, Jonathan, I'll let you answer that.
The plan is to have all the conductors teach their individual large ensembles the way that we would have before the quarantine. For small ensembles, I will definitely be coaching. Jessica will coach, Raphael will coach, and then Stephen will continue to coach the brass ensemble. And beyond that, I'm not entirely sure. We might also rely on some outside coaches, depending on how many people are interested. But yeah, we'll all be as involved as we can be with the small ensembles as well.
And do we have any more questions? Well, I think we will turn this back over to Alex Gittens, our chairman, for our closing.
All right. Well, I certainly want to say that, you know, NYS has given my daughters a real chance to play music with a larger group and at a different level than they would have in their school. They experience music with other musicians and in an environment where music is valued. And before I go into my closing, I do see there are a couple more questions. So let's answer those before we go, but also know we're happy to break in and answer all questions that come in tonight. But this is not your only chance to ask questions. You can certainly always contact us, but let's see what else we have.
Okay, one of our questions is, which day of the week will the adult classes be? Jonathan and Russell have not set their times or dates yet. Our goal, though, is for us to open up registration for those adult classes in August. I mean, they're not going to start till September, but we will post on our website sometime during early August what dates the classes will be and which date Russell will be teaching and what date Jonathan will be teaching. And then we have another question. Oh, sorry, did you want to add to that, Jonathan?
No, I just wanted to say this is a very important question coming up.
Okay, everyone can choose a small or large ensemble or theory classes, or they need to take all. I'll let Jonathan answer that.
Yeah, well, and the answer is that they can absolutely choose. And to be more explicit about what I was saying is the shorter formats and the sectionals will make it absolutely possible for all students to take a small ensemble, a large ensemble, music theory, but they also should in no way feel obligated. What we wanted to do was to create as rich a possible of a program for the fall. You know, give your students as many different kinds of opportunities for online orchestral learning as possible. But that said, we'd be thrilled to have them just do the large ensemble, thrilled to have them do large ensemble in theory, large ensemble, small ensemble, whatever works best for your children.
Okay. I'll turn it back over to Alex.
All right. And certainly, again, know that this isn't the last time you can ask questions. If you go to our website, it has our phone number and our email. And so you can also get information on our audition guidelines and registration, also on our website. So we're available to answer questions. And we also are excited about our fall program and hope you got to know NYS tonight. It's been a year like no other, and our fall season certainly promises to be filled with many new experiences as well. My kids, I know, are excited that I'm going to take a music appreciation class finally and appreciate more of what they've been doing all these years, so I'm excited for that. We remain, NYS remains a premier orchestral experience for our young musicians, and we look forward to continuing that tradition this year. And so we look forward to you joining us to continue that tradition. So thank you so much for your participation tonight. Thank you to our panelists as well. And we look forward to seeing you in the fall virtually and hopefully in January being all together. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. We did get one more question on our chat. Yes, all the classes we expect to be on a Sunday. Okay, the question was, will all the classes be on Sunday? And if you sign up for all 3 classes, how long are they in total? Music theory and the small ensemble classes for the younger students will be 45 minutes for each class. Then they would be in their orchestra large ensemble for probably 30 minutes for their sectional. The older kids, the large ensemble, excuse me, the small ensemble and the music theory class will be an hour each. And then their large ensemble sectional will be 45 minutes. Jonathan and some of our coaches, conductors are available during the week for small ensembles. And that would only be if all the 3 to 4 to 5 kids in that small ensemble agree to meet on a time outside of Sunday afternoon with their coach. So there is that possibility small ensemble would be outside Sunday. But we're trying to keep everything under 3 hours on Sundays. If for this child who wants to do all 3. And then what are the age breakdown? We haven't, gotten that far because, basically elementary and young middle school would be in the 45 minutes and then perhaps the 8th through 12th would be in the hour. But, there could be a little flexibility there. Okay, Jonathan, here's another question for you. I'll spotlight, okay. For the audition, if the piece is longer than 10 minutes, how should the piece be broken up? Just the beginning or a couple of more difficult excerpts?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say whatever highlights the students' contrasting abilities best. We kind of leave it up to you to choose. What we're looking for, generally speaking, particularly for the older students, is something that's virtuosic, but then also something that's lyrical, generally speaking. And I'm happy to leave it up to the students to decide how to make it work accordingly. So it doesn't have to just be the beginning. They can skip around. That's absolutely fine.
But I just want you to realize that if for the upper orchestras, the child should prepare 2 contrasting pieces, not to exceed 10 minutes. Does that make sense? That was to Anna. So not to exceed 10 minutes, the 2 different pieces. And now we have another question. For the audition, if the kid recorded for principal orchestra but may not qualify, is he still good for concert orchestra? Jonathan?
So what we've asked people to do is to, and sir, you might have to remind me what we're doing for students who are new to the program, because you have to actually, no, I think I actually do remember. We're asking students to pick an excerpt for what they think is appropriate, but yes, absolutely. If for whatever reason we feel that maybe people have shot a little too high and that they're more appropriate for the orchestra tier below, then of course we will absolutely consider them for the orchestra tier below or whatever that situation may be. You are in no way disqualified from our other orchestras just because you picked an excerpt that was maybe harder than you anticipated it would be. Yeah, of course.
And at NYS, we have a philosophy we've had forever, that you really should select pieces on your solo pieces that best represent your ability now. A performance performed well will do much better in your audition evaluation than a performance that you struggled with. So please don't, try to, and we also really recommend that you talk to the child's private teachers to select the appropriate pieces.
Yeah, and I can just add to that. It makes our job so much easier when the students do that, because it's actually very difficult to evaluate when a student is playing a piece that is obviously a big stretch for them. We would much rather be able to see what students are doing at their best.
Okay, we have another question. Do the kids need to memorize the pieces for the audition, or can they look at the scores? Jonathan, why don't you answer that for their solo pieces and for the orchestral excerpts?
Yeah, I don't, we've never required memorization for either, actually, in any way, shape, or form. We only do memorization for the concerto competition. So yep, no memorization required at all. If they want to, great, fantastic, but it's not required.
Does anyone have questions for our student panelists on, their experiences or anything, or any other questions? Or for Jane regarding our scholarship program? Okay, then I think we will turn it over to Alex.
Well, what a great and informative night. And I again, thank our panelists. I thank our participants for coming up with some great questions and, just to get to know us and what our fall program is going to look like. Again, please know that we're available to answer questions as you have them, and through email or calling by visiting our website. So thank you again, and we look forward to you joining us in the fall.
Thank you, everyone.